my name is Ashley and I'm a mom of 2 little girls. I have a 3.5-year-old named Kylie, and I also have a 19-month-old named Mia. If you are a new Montessori homeschooling parent like myself, then over the last month and a half, 2 months or so since school officially started, you may have found yourself on a little bit of a journey looking for a way to help incorporate some rhythm and routine into your child's day at home with you. And in your journeys, you may or may not have come across this idea of circle time, which is something that is actually used in a lot of Montessori preschool classrooms. So from one busy parent to another, today I would like to chat with you a little bit about the purpose of circle time, some activity ideas that are traditionally used during circle time that you can try to adapt for use at home. And I will also share with you our family's Montessori homeschool circle time routine. So I'd like to start off by saying first that circle time is not a Montessori thing. In fact, there are a lot of Montessori schools and teachers who do not implement circle time at all. And the reason for that is there are some camps that feel like circle time is more of an adult imposed activity as opposed to the child choosing their own work and choosing their own activities while they're at school. So for those who are trying to very strictly adhere to those guidelines in the very literal sense of following the child to the letter, they may not implement circle time. But there are also a lot of preschools that do implement circle time, and there are a lot of different activities that are done during this time with the children that can be very beneficial. So it is certainly okay to implement circle time if that sounds like something that will work for you in your homeschool setting. And it's also perfectly okay to just completely skip circle time altogether. So there are roughly 3 different ways that I've seen circle time used. And the first one is kind of as a morning gathering time. When all of the students come into the classroom, or when you and your children wake up for the morning and you've kind of gotten your morning started, circle time is a way to gather the children together and to kind of focus everybody and get their minds ready for that learning and that work cycle that is just about to come. So that's the first way. Another way is kind of in the middle of the work cycle or in the middle of the day when the children perhaps need a bit of recentering. Maybe things have got a little bit chaotic and kind of out of line and not very focused. Circle time can be a really great way to help draw the children in and just kind of hit the reset button a little bit before they launch off into another work cycle. And the third way that I've seen circle time used is as an ending point to the day, a summing up of that day's work and bringing everybody back together before everybody is sent home from school if they're actually in a school, or maybe at the ending of your own day and the end of your formal work cycle in your home as part of your homeschool setting before you launch into, say, bedtime routine and things like that. So if you do choose to implement circle time, there really isn't any one specific time of day that it's supposed to happen. You can basically adapt it for your own family's routines and rhythms and what seems to work for your children. Now, once you've zeroed in on exactly what part of the day you feel circle time is going to work best for your child or for your children, your next task is then to figure out exactly how you want to structure your circle time. And I would suggest making sure that it does have some sort of a structure, even if it is a loose structure. This way your child or your children know what to expect. We all know that young children thrive on routine and predictability. So the more that you can structure it in a way that they know what to anticipate, the more smoothly it's going to go each day. A popular way to start circle time is through a welcome song. Now, this song can be any song that you want. It can be something that you made up. It can be something that you heard somewhere else and you adapted for your own use at home. It doesn't really matter as long as it's simple enough for your children to learn it and follow along, because we all know that young children love to sing and they love music. So any way that you can incorporate that and use it to draw them in will get them excited about getting started for circle time. At the very beginning of the school year, in an actual brick and mortar Montessori preschool classroom, circle time is often used as a way to help roll out new routines and procedures to the children so that they understand the general functioning of the classroom, how to get out work from the shelves, how to put it away neatly, how to get out a work mat and how to roll it up and put it back, how to treat and handle the materials respectfully, and just in general, how to interact with one another and with the teachers. And so it's a great way to kind of get everybody on the same page right from the get-go. And for for new students, this can be especially helpful because in a Montessori environment, the children are grouped into mixed age groups of 3-year spans. So you actually have children who are returning from the previous year who are already familiar with all of the routines. And often the teacher will call upon those students to help demonstrate for the new students exactly how things function in the classroom. And that's powerful for both those students who are helping to demonstrate and also for the younger students to see their older peers kind of in action. So that's what happens in an actual Montessori classroom. You can certainly do a version of that at the very beginning of the school year or whenever you're officially starting your homeschool at home with your children. You can do something like that if you are planning to introduce certain routines to them, like using a work mat or how to handle some of the learning materials. That can be very helpful. But I also think that that's something that you could choose to skip altogether if you're planning to have a little bit more flexibility in how your child handles the materials and how they're conducting their work throughout the day. But beyond those initial days, there are a whole variety of other activities that you can incorporate into Circle Time. A good one to start out with usually is calendar time. So this is where you would actually have a physical calendar that you adjust each day with your child's help, and where you're discussing the days of the week and the months of the year, and you're looking at the weather outside and maybe adjusting something that has to do with the weather on the calendar. And you're talking about any upcoming celebrations or holidays that you have in your family or in your culture. And it's just a great way to start to help your child think about the world outside of their own little bubble and to think of it on the scale of time. In the very beginning, this is something that you would be modeling for your child, but as they become more familiar with the process and as they become more naturally interested in knowing what day of the week it is or going to investigate to see what the weather looks like outside that day, as they become more involved, you can give more of the responsibility over to them for adjusting the different parts of the calendar. The same goes for once they have started to learn their numbers. If they want to be responsible for writing in the daily number for the calendar that day, or if you have little tokens or something to add to the calendar, little Velcroed numbers, whatever your setup is, they can be in charge of getting the proper number for that day of the month and sticking it onto the calendar. Other activities that you might try are probably some things that you have experienced with yourself when you were in school, or maybe you've at least heard of some of these activities. Things like show and tell and time for sharing, like a little discussion of maybe what happened over summer break or some other holiday that the children have just returned from, or discussing a recent learning experience that everybody had together, such as a field trip. Circle Time is also a really great time for the children to be led in some role playing as far as problem solving any issues that may be going on in the classroom that need to be addressed. Now, typically Montessori teachers are only engaging one-on-one with the child, or perhaps in a very small group of 2 to 3, maybe 4 children at a time when they're introducing a very specific classroom learning material. However, there are some projects, there are even some Montessori activities that are supposed to be done that are best done in a small group setting. Things like walking the line, for example. It's a very classic Montessori activity that's done as a group. Or, for example, doing a group art project where all of the children have input into something that they're creating together as a class. These are the types of activities that are perfect for Circle Time. And then there are always the more traditional activities that are good for Circle Time too. Things like reading a book to the children, some time for music and movement, finger plays, action rhymes. All of these things are typically done during Circle Time when you have all of the children present. So you can incorporate any of these kinds of activities into your homeschool Circle Time routine. You're obviously going to adapt them to the number of children that you're working with at home and their various age levels, and try to help make it appropriate as necessary. But these are in general some things that would likely work with any age group. And in the description box down below, I've placed links to a couple of different resources that you might want to look through that have much longer descriptions for exactly how to implement some of these different types of activities. All right, so next up, I'm actually going to be showing you what our family's Circle Time routine looks like. And this is exactly the way I've been doing it for the better half of the last month and a half, almost 2 months now. And it's something that my girls look forward to every single morning. And I do involve both of my girls, even though this is for my preschooler technically, because I'm designing the homeschool curriculum for her. My toddler most certainly wants to be involved, and of course I'm going to involve her in the process. So she is just as much of an active participant in this process as my preschooler is. And I love the fact that our setting here at home almost mimics exactly what's going on in a real Montessori environment, because my girls are exactly 2 years apart by just 2 days. So they are within that 3-year age grouping that you might find in a Montessori setting anyway. And so it really works and it functions in the most authentic way possible. So our routine is as follows right now, and this is what you're about to see in the video. We open up with the welcome song, which right now is just the same song every single morning, and my daughter loves to sing it with me. And from there, we transition into a little bit of calendar time and assessing the weather and any upcoming holidays to look forward to and how far away that might be. And I try to incorporate some counting and some math along in there just to help sneak a little bit of extra practice in with that in a more authentic way. After we're done with the calendar, I try to introduce or review a certain grace and courtesy lesson. And if you've never heard of grace and courtesy before, it's basically like role-playing manners and polite, courteous behavior that your child will need in certain social situations. So without going into too much detail, because it could be anything, I could do an entire video on this, and I should, but basically it could be anything as far as like how your child is functioning in the classroom to how they're interacting with other people and just how they're conducting themselves in general. So for this particular grace and courtesy lesson, you are going to see me talking about how to introduce yourself to someone that you've never met before. And I actually pulled my husband in because he happened to be in the room, and I asked him to also try it out with her so that she had some experience doing it with somebody other than just myself. And then after the grace and courtesy lesson is over, I typically like to end with a little bit of story time. We do read books all throughout the day, but I just kind of like to have something as like, you know, button it up. This is the official end of circle time. And so story time is a pretty easy way for us to do that. So my girls immediately knew. They went over to the bookshelf. They each picked out a book that they wanted to read, and we sat down and we read both of them. And then that was it for circle time this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, Mia. Hello, Mia. How are you? How are you? We're so glad to have you. We're so glad to have you here at school. Here at school. All right, now it's Skylar's turn.
I'm gonna go back my way.
Ready?
Wait, want to take him with me?
Ready? Hello, Kylie. Hello, Kylie. How are you? How are you? We're so glad to have you. We're so glad to have you here at school. Here at school. Okay, I'm gonna grab the calendar. Let's sing our Days of the Week song. Ready?
Monday. Hey, I can sing it
Okay.
by myself.
Okay.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 7 days all in a week. I like to chunk them out.
Okay, so let's look at what today's date is. We've got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Today's Tuesday.
Tuesday, October, what comes after 12?
14.
13, that's right. Let's find the number 13. Let's
I
see.
feel we go.
Here's a couple of numbers. Let's see if we can find. All right, can we find 13?
This is
All right, let's put it up.
T and start with a 1 in the front.
That's right.
So it can't be, it has to be either between these two. And the A has a 2 in the
Yes,
front.
I see it.
Definitely not a T.
Okay, yep, you're right. So how do you know which one's 13 then?
This one.
What gave you the clue?
Because it has 3 and this one has 6.
You're right. All right, so today is Tuesday, October 13th. Should we check the weather?
Yeah, let me
See.
see.
Yesterday it was sunny, but what about today?
Today there's faded clouds in the sky.
Yeah?
Faded clouds.
So do you think we need to change it?
No, we could probably do that for today. Just faded clouds in the sky.
Okay, so it's still pretty sunny?
Yeah.
Okay. Are we ready for the globe, Sissy? Here, let's put our calendar up. All right, let's sing it together. Ready?
North America, South America, Africa, Europe, and Asia. Don't forget Australia. Don't forget Antarctica. Tell me the continents, tell me the continents, if you can.
Yeah! We love that song. Today we're gonna learn how to greet somebody, okay? For the first time, like when you've never met the person ever, and they say hi to you, okay? So when somebody comes up to you and they say, hi, my name is Mr. Bob. What's your name? You're gonna say, hi, my name's Kylie, nice to meet you. And you'll shake hands, right? Okay? So we're gonna practice that. Hi girls, my name is Mrs. Mommy. I've never seen you before. What's your name?
My name is Kylie.
Kylie, nice to meet you, Kylie.
Nice to meet you too.
And your name is Mia?
Mia, yeah.
Can I shake your hand, Mia? Nice to meet you, Mia. And she
Nice
says,
to meet
nice
you
to meet you too.
Hi, I'm Mr. Daddy. Nice to meet you. What's your name?
Kylie.
Nice to meet you, Kylie.
Nice to meet you too.
So is that it for our circle time? Do you guys want to read a book? It's Pumpkin Day, Mouse. Okay. Mouse has 7 pumpkins to decorate. You want to count with me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7.
Mouse paints a happy face on this pumpkin. Look, you get a big smile. This pumpkin is sad. Yeah, he's got a tear and a frown. This pumpkin has a silly face. This pumpkin looks, surprise. See how his mouth's in that big O shape? Oh my, even Mouse looks surprised. One of these pumpkins is missing. There were 7, but now there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's right. Where did it go? Eek! What is that? Look, Mouse even looks a little bit scared. That's a pretty scary pumpkin face, huh?
God painted it.
Boo! Dog made a scary pumpkin. Boo! Now it's time to make friendly pumpkins. There's a friendly mouse and a friendly dog. Happy Pumpkin Day, Mouse. The end. So, at the end of October every year, a very special holiday begins. It is Dia de los Muertos, or the Day of the Dead. Dia de los Muertos is an ancient tradition celebrated in Mexico and other places around the world. During this holiday, people take time to remember and celebrate family and friends who have passed away. Along with skeletons, we decorate our bakeries, schools, cemeteries, and other places in our communities with beautiful cut designs. Yeah, I see the sad moon, called papel picado. And so again, we've only been doing this for about a month and a half, 2 months now, and we are still finding our routine and our rhythm and what works for us. But we have fallen into a semblance of something that looks pretty much the same every morning now, which is why I was excited to finally share it with you guys. But I do feel like Circle Time is going to evolve as my daughters get older. As they are ready for new and different types of activities, then the structure of our Circle Time might change to match that accordingly. So this is not exactly the way it's going to look going into the future, but at least right now in these very beginning stages, when we are all very new at it, this is what it looks like and it's working for us. And on a super honest side note for you guys, I did not think at the very beginning of the school year that I was going to be doing Circle Time. Like, I was aware it existed and I knew how it worked, but I thought it was a little bit gimmicky, and I honestly thought that my daughter would kind of find it a little bit lame and not want to participate. And so I shied away from it at first. However, I did notice that she started showing an interest in asking me every single day what the days of the week were and what the months of the year were and what month we were currently in. And she was trying to figure out for herself where we were chronologically in the year and how far away it was until the next holiday and things like that. And she was also going to check the weather every single day. And she was looking out and kind of reporting to me whatever the weather was. So I started looking into daily calendars to start incorporating into our routine. And that's kind of where I personally fell back into this idea of perhaps actually doing circle time. And so even though I thought that she thought it was gonna be lame, I broached the topic with her and I just kind of said matter-of-factly one day, Kylie, guess what? Tomorrow we're gonna start doing circle time. And I kind of gave her an overview of how we would have a calendar that we would get to do with it, and she was all in. She was totally excited, totally on board. And I honestly could not have been more wrong about how she would have responded. She loves circle time. She thinks it is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and she looks forward to it every morning. And because she is so excited about it, my toddler is also very excited about it, and it's a thing. So if you are at all on the fence about giving circle time a try, I say give it a go. See how your children respond. Try to set it up as this really fun thing that you guys are going to be doing together every morning. Try to make it exciting with different types of songs and having a calendar that they have responsibility for, and make them part of the process. Help them take ownership over some of the process with you. If you're interested in learning more about how to do Montessori at home with your children, I also offer a comprehensive e-course that walks you through it step by step. So I will leave a link in the description box down below to that, just in case you are interested in learning more about it. And just in case you are new to my channel, I also wanted to let you know that this video is part of a much larger series on this YouTube channel called Montessori at Home, which is aimed at providing practical tips and advice for busy parents like you and I for implementing Montessori at home with your children. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in watching more of, then you might consider subscribing to my channel. This way you don't miss a new video, because I do upload a new one just like this one every single week. So thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you next time. Bye.